What's up, guys? Welcome to Touchdown Talk, where everything and anything football goes. I'm your host, Jason. Let's get into it with our Week 7 recap. Let's start with the first blowout, and that was the Lions and the Ravens. This game took me by a surprise. Now, I was high on the Lions. I thought coming into this week, the Lions were the best team in the league, and man, was I wrong. Detroit was shut out through three quarters. They didn't get a first down until Baltimore put up 28 points. And the Ravens couldn't be stopped. Lamar, 21 of 27 for 357 yards and 3 touchdowns. He was going all out. He did it through the air. And the Ravens got it done. There's not much to say. Detroit just got blown out. We'll see if they can bounce back next week. It's going to be a big game for the Lions, especially after what just happened on Sunday. Raiders and the Bears. The Bears get it done 30-12. They get the win over the Raiders. And man, was it an ugly game. Both quarterbacks were out. No Garoppolo, no Fields. Instead, it was Hoyer and Bajan. And Hoyer did not show up at all. Hoyer went and didn't play well whatsoever. 2 interceptions, not good for him. Only 129 yards. Got replaced. Aiden O'Connell came in, threw 75 yards. He had a touchdown. He also had an interception. Nothing was working for the Raiders. The Bears, Bajan, 162 yards and a touchdown. He did not turn the ball over. Deontay Foreman, 3 total touchdowns. 2 on the ground, 1 through the air, 89 yards. He led the Bears to a victory. We'll see if he can continue to get it done with Herbert out, with Roschon Johnson out. We'll see if it can happen. I believe in Deontay Foreman. I liked it when he was in Carolina. I like him now on the Bears. It's his backfield, and I think he's going to take control of it. Next was the most controversial game, and that was the Browns and the Colts. The Browns got the win 39-38 thanks to questionable calls at the end of that game. The refs made a few questionable calls and kind of ruined a great game. This game went back and forth. P.J. Walker came in, relieved Deshaun Watson, who didn't return in the second half after injury. Minshew lit up the Browns' secondary. He was going all out. Ford and Hunt split the backfield. Jonathan Taylor got back in the end zone. He also got drug tested on Monday. And then came the flags. And what was a great game. Myles Garrett, 2 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, 2 blocked field goals. He was going all out. The game was great, and then we had questionable calls at the end of the game. Set up the Browns in prime possession of the field. They were able to sneak it in. Kareem Hunt got his second touchdown, and they got the win. And I feel like the Colts were robbed. I mean, they did everything they needed to. Minshew played a great game, threw for over 300 yards. But the curse of Minshew happens again. Minshew is now 0-8 in games where he's thrown for over 300 yards. And that is not a stat you want to have. But Minshew still winless with having 300 yards in the game. And whether he's going to break that streak or not, I don't know. But Josh Downs, 5 catches, 125 yards, and a touchdown. Balled out for the Indianapolis Colts. We see who Gardner Minshew's favorite target is. And Michael Pittman was a little upset. He had 83 yards and a touchdown, but he only had 2 catches. One was a deep ball where he took for over 70 yards and a touchdown. So 2 receptions. He wasn't happy after the game. The Colts lost. Bad way to end a great game. But Jim Irsay was not happy with the refs. We'll see if anything comes of that. I doubt it, though. When it comes to the NFL and officiating, they're very stingy on that, and I don't see them changing anything. Next was the upset of the week, and that was the Patriots over the Bills. 29-25, Mike Gesicki gets in the end zone with just over 8 seconds left in the game, and Buffalo took the loss. Now Dalton Kincaid led the Bills in receiving after Dawson Knox went out. Kincaid had 75 yards, where Diggs only had 58 yards, but Diggs did get in the end zone for a touchdown, as well as James Cook did. Josh Allen, an interception, a fumble, not a great game. Mac Jones, no turnovers, 272, 2 touchdowns. The Patriots offense came to play, and they outplayed the Buffalo Bills. This is the second week in a row where the Bills have looked shaky. Last week to the Giants, if it wasn't for a non-call in the end zone, Giants probably would have won. Now, same thing. The Patriots get the win late in the game over the Bills. Next up is the Commanders, and speaking of, the New York Giants. The New York Giants get the win 14-7 over those Washington Commanders. The Giants get their first home touchdown. The Giants get their first half touchdown. And Waller gets his first touchdown as a Giant. They got it done. The New York Giants get a win. Tyrod Taylor balled out, and 279, 2 touchdowns. He is making a case for starting quarterback job. The Giants are paying Dan Jones $40 million a year, but if Tyrod's getting the victory, why not? Unless they want to tank for Caleb or Drake May, Bo Nix, one of these quarterbacks in the draft. That could be what the Giants are trying to do, but we'll see what happens. But Jalen Hyatt, 2 catches, 75 yards. Got to get the kid involved in the offense. It's got to happen for the Giants. Next is the Falcons and the Bucks. A low-scoring game, divisional game, defensive battle. Both teams held 16-13. The Falcons get the win. And neither of these teams are impressive right now. We'll see what they do in the upcoming weeks. The NFC South is going to come down to the final weeks to see who wins that division regardless, because none of those teams are going to pull away with one. Steelers beat the Rams. They edge it out 24-17. Pittsburgh's running back duo both get in the end zone. Najee with the game winner. Jaylen Warren got in the end zone early in the game. The Rams split the backfield between Royce Freeman and Darrell Henderson. I'm a huge Darrell Henderson fan. I liked it when he was on the Rams a couple years ago. And when I saw that they signed him, I thought he was going to get in the end zone. He was going to have a good game. And he did get in the end zone for the Rams. Just wasn't enough, even with Puka Nacua going for over 100 yards yet again. He's back. Slow game for Cooper Kupp, but Steelers defense did their thing. Their offense puts up the numbers, and they get the victory in LA. With the LA Rams, their division opponents, Cardinals, Seahawks. Seahawks get the win 20-10. Another divisional game. Back and forth divisional battle. Yet again, just like the Bills. It happened. The Bills and Patriots game, same thing. Divisional battle. We're bound to see it happen. Kenneth Walker continued his dominance, over 100 yards for him. Geno Smith used his receivers in this game. No DK Metcalf. He got Jake Bobo and Jackson Smith and Njaba involved in the game. Both of them over 60 yards. Both of them got in the end zone. And Seattle was able to pull away with the victory over their division opponent. Next was the Packer game, and Packers-Broncos. Rough game for the Packers to lose. And it's hard when A.J. Dillon's leading your team in receiving and rushing. Yes, A.J. Dillon. He beat Aaron Jones in the backfield. He beat all of their receivers and their tight end in the receiving game. And when that happens, you're not going to win the game. The Broncos sneak away with a win, though, in this game. Green Bay coming out of a bye and losing. Not good for Green Bay. They're going to have to figure something out if they want to sneak into the playoffs, which I don't know how it's looking right now for them. Chargers, Chiefs. This is just becoming the Travis Kelce game. Every time Kelce plays the Chargers, it is a slaughter for Kelce. Kelce, 179 yards on 12 catches. He got in the end zone in front of his girlfriend who was in the stands. Great game for Travis Kelce. Mahomes, 424 yards, 4 touchdowns. He was throwing the ball anywhere and everywhere. Wherever he wanted, that's where the ball was going. Herbert struggles again. The Chargers back-to-back games where they struggle. Herbert loses the game last week. This week they struggle yet again. Herbert turns the ball over this week as well. Not great. 2 interceptions for Herbert. Joshua Kelly led the backfield. Don't know what's going on with Austin Eckler, but he has been shaky since he's returned. I don't know if he's 100%, but if they want to win games, they're going to have to get their key guy, Austin Eckler, on the field. Sunday night, another referee kind of game. The Eagles had no penalties in this game. Not one penalty was called on the Eagles. The Dolphins had 9 penalties called on them. Key ones, too. There was a face mask that was missed on James Bradbury in the red zone. There was also a roughing the passer where Christian Wilkins kind of just pushed Jalen Hurts and they called roughing the passer. A little soft in my opinion. I don't know if you call that. It ended up taking 3 points off the board for the Eagles and giving them 7. So it's a 4-point swap there. Scores 14 at the end, but a few penalties here and there made a huge difference. Now, the Eagles' defense came to play in this game. They showed up yet again like they've done all year for this team. They held the Dolphins to only 45 yards on the ground. They held Tyreek Hill to under 100 yards. Jalen Waddle left the game. That affected the Dolphins' offense as well. When one of your key guys on offense goes down, it's going to be hard. Waddle did come back in the end of the game, but he wasn't the same. He had 63 yards. And the Eagles' offense showed up. And Jalen Hurts found A.J. Brown again and again and again and again for 10 receptions, 137 yards, and a touchdown. Smitty got involved with 49 yards. Goddard on national tight end day got in the end zone for 77 yards and on 5 receptions. But the key thing was A.J. Brown yet again shows up and shows out. 5 consecutive games with 125 plus receiving yards, ties Megatron in NFL history. If A.J. Brown does it this week against the Commanders, he will have sole possession of that record. Look out for A.J. Brown this week. I believe he's going to get 125. I think they're going to give him the ball so he does get the record. But the Eagles do struggle against the Commanders. Now, with the refs missing a few calls, the Eagles were able to get the victory. Jalen Hurts runs it in. He had 2 touchdowns through the air, 1 on the ground. Ties Randall Cunningham for his record of most rushing touchdowns with the Eagles. And the Dolphins' offense did not show up in this game. The Eagles' defense put pressure on Tua, forced him to not be able to go deep as much as they wanted to. And the Eagles were able to get the win 31-17 in Philly, where they debuted their Kelly Green jerseys for the first time in a long time. And they get the win. Monday Night Football, Niners, Vikings. What a game for primetime Kirk Cousins. Primetime Kirk showed up and showed out in this game. I thought before the game, I was like, primetime Kirk on Monday night, no Justin Jefferson. It's a given for the Niners. But the Niners struggled last week against the Browns. They lost. They struggled this week against the Vikings. They lost. Brock Purdy, 2 crucial interceptions. Brock Purdy last week, game on the line, gets them down. They miss a field goal. Brock Purdy this week, game on the line, lollipop throw picked off, and the Vikings get the win. Jordan Addison went nuclear in this game. Early on in the game, Charvarius Ward ripped the ball out of Addison's hands. Addison then repaid him the favor in the fourth quarter, ripping the ball out of his hands to go for a 60-yard touchdown. Vikings get the win. Niners lose 2 straight. We'll see if they can rebound in the upcoming weeks. But losing 2 straight to the Browns and the Vikings, who aren't 2 top teams in the league, it's a little scary for the Niners when no Debo and no Trent Williams, and looking like Brock Purdy struggling without those 2 guys on the field. And if this continues, the 49ers might take a slide in the NFC. A lot of people saying they're the best team in the NFL. I don't even think they're the best team in the NFC. But more on that next time. If you enjoyed the video, drop a like, and I will see you guys next time.